you're going to die unhappy. Not because life is cruel, not because you're unlucky, not because you don't have enough. You're going to die unhappy because you're looking for happiness in all the wrong places. And you know it, deep down you feel it, that gnawing sense that something's missing, that constant reaching for the next thing, the next achievement, the next relationship. I share this because I see you everywhere I go. Maybe not you specifically, but people just like you. Carrying invisible maps to places that don't exist, searching for treasure in empty caves, and the most heartbreaking part, you're standing on the very treasure you're seeking. You might wonder why you should listen to me about this. I've spent 40 years studying human behavior, writing books, speaking to millions of people around the world. But more importantly, I was once you. At 28, I was searching everywhere for contentment. In achievements, in relationships, in external validation. Everyone told me that's how life works. Even my own father said happiness comes from hard work and success. But here's what I've learned after decades of studying fulfilled people, truly alive people, genuinely content people. The ones who radiate joy aren't the most successful. They're not the wealthiest. They're the ones who understand a fundamental truth that you might be missing. Happiness isn't something you find. It's something you stop hiding from. Think about this. When you were 5 years old, lying in the grass watching clouds, you were happy. Not because you achieved something, not because you acquired something, not because someone validated you. You were happy because you were present. You were being. That happiness, that natural contentment, where did it go? It didn't go anywhere. You buried it. Under layers of conditioning, under mountains of expectations, under the belief that who you are naturally isn't enough. That you need to add something to yourself to be worthy of joy. I remember meeting a woman in Chicago, successful executive, beautiful home, 2 perfect children, miserable. She told me, I have everything I thought I wanted and I feel empty. You know what her problem was? She was looking for herself in her accomplishments. But you can't find yourself in what you do. You can only find yourself in who you are. This is what the ancient teachings call the fundamental mistake, seeking your essence in temporary forms, looking for the eternal in the fleeting, trying to satisfy the infinite part of you with finite experiences. You see, your happiness isn't missing, it's buried. Buried under your beliefs about what you need to be happy, buried under your stories about why you can't be happy yet, buried under your conditions for when you'll allow yourself to feel good. I want you to understand something. The universe doesn't make mistakes. If you exist, you already have everything necessary for happiness. Not the guarantee of happiness, the capacity for it. But you might never access that capacity because you're looking in the wrong direction. Let me share something from my years of studying this. I wrote about a man named Matteo in one of my earlier works. 45 years old, divorced, lost his business. Everyone would say he had every reason to be miserable. But when I met him, there was something different, a lightness, a peace. When I asked him about it, he said something that changed my understanding forever. He said, I spent 30 years trying to arrange my life to make me happy. I never spent a single day trying to be happy with my life as an island. Do you hear the difference? Do you feel the shift in that statement? He stopped trying to fix his circumstances and started fixing his relationship with his circumstances. He stopped demanding that life be different and started being different with life. That's the secret nobody tells you. Your circumstances don't determine your happiness. Your relationship with your circumstances does. 2 people can have identical lives and completely different experiences based on how they relate to what's happening. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I have real problems, real challenges, real reasons to be unhappy. I'm not telling you to deny your problems. I'm telling you that your happiness doesn't depend on the absence of problems. It depends on your presence with whatever island you've been conditioned to believe. In a happiness equation, fix this plus achieve that plus acquire the other thing equals happiness. But that equation is rigged because as soon as you solve one problem, you create another. As soon as you achieve one goal, you set another. The goalpost keeps moving because the game itself is designed to keep you searching. Think about your last moment of genuine contentment. Not excitement, not pleasure, not temporary satisfaction, but deep, abiding contentment. What was happening? I'll bet it wasn't during your greatest achievement. I'll bet it wasn't when you got something you'd been wanting. I'll bet it was a simple moment, a quiet moment, a moment when you weren't trying to be anywhere else. Maybe it was watching a sunrise. Maybe it was laughing with a friend. Maybe it was holding someone you love. Maybe it was just sitting in silence, feeling connected to something larger than yourself. What made that moment special wasn't what you had. It was how present you were, how accepting you were, how much you allowed yourself to simply be. But here's what happened next. You tried to recreate that moment. You tried to capture it. You tried to make it permanent. And in doing so, you lost it. Because happiness isn't something you can capture or create or control. It's something you can only allow. You see, happiness is your natural state. It's not something foreign that you need to import into your life. It's not something rare that you need to hunt down. It's not something special that you need to earn. Happiness is what remains when you stop interfering with it. Every child knows this intuitively. Watch a young child play. They're not happy because they achieved something. They're not happy because they acquired something. They're happy because they're fully engaged with the present moment. They're not thinking about yesterday or tomorrow. They're not comparing themselves to other children. They're not worried about their performance or their image. They're just being. But somewhere along the way, you learn to complicate this simple truth. You learn to make happiness conditional. You learn to postpone happiness until certain conditions are met. You learn to believe that happiness is something you have to work for, something you have to deserve, something you have to earn through suffering. And this belief is destroying your capacity for joy. Right now, today, this moment. While you're waiting for the conditions to be right, life is passing you by. While you're waiting to be happy, happiness is waiting for you to stop waiting. The most dangerous thing about searching for happiness outside yourself isn't that you won't find it. It's that the very act of searching convinces you that you don't already have it. Every time you look outside yourself for contentment, you're programming yourself to believe you're incomplete. Every time you think you need something or someone to make you happy, you're reinforcing the lie that happiness is not your birthright, but it is your birthright. Happiness isn't something you achieve. It's something you uncover. It's not something you create. It's something you reveal. It's not something you find. It's something you stop hiding from yourself. You're hiding from your happiness right now. You're hiding behind your conditions, your excuses, your stories about why you can't be happy yet, your beliefs about what needs to happen before you're allowed to feel good about your life. You're hiding behind your past trauma, your current struggles, your future, fears. But what if none of that matters? What if your happiness has nothing to do with any of that? What if your capacity for joy is completely independent of your circumstances? What if you could be happy right now, exactly as you are, with exactly what you have in exactly the situation you're in? This isn't positive thinking. This isn't pretending everything is perfect. This isn't denying your problems or challenges or pain. This is recognizing that your happiness doesn't depend on the absence of problems. It depends on your presence with whatever is happening in your life right now. You can be happy with problems, you can be happy with uncertainty, you can be happy with imperfection, you can be happy with loss. You can be happy with struggle. Not because these things are good, but because your happiness isn't dependent on these things being different. This is the most radical thing you can do in a world that profits from your dissatisfaction. To be happy without permission, to be happy without reason, to be happy without conditions, to be happy simply because you are alive, because you are aware, because you have the capacity to experience this moment. But your mind will resist this understanding. Your mind has been trained to find problems, to identify threats, to notice what's wrong, to focus on what's missing. Your mind is not designed to make you happy. Your mind is designed to keep you safe. And it has decided that happiness is not safe, that contentment is dangerous, that satisfaction leads to complacency. So your mind will give you 1,000 reasons why you shouldn't be happy yet, why you need to solve this first, why you need to achieve that first, why you need to fix everything before you're allowed to feel good. Your mind will tell you that happiness is selfish, that it's irresponsible, that it's naive in a world full of problems. But your mind is lying to you. Not intentionally, not maliciously. But your mind has been programmed by a culture that needs you to be dissatisfied, that needs you to keep striving, keep consuming, keep searching. Your mind has been convinced that your value as a person depends on your productivity, your achievements, your acquisitions. And this is where the real work begins. Not in changing your circumstances, but in changing your relationship with your mind. Not in fixing your life, but in freeing yourself from the need to fix anything. Not in finding happiness, but in recognizing that happiness is what you are when you stop looking for it elsewhere. This recognition doesn't come from thinking about it, it comes from experiencing it. And you can experience it right now. Not after you read this, not after you make changes in your life, not after you figure everything out. Right now, take a breath, feel it filling your lungs. Feel your heart beating. Notice that you are alive. Notice that you are aware. Notice that this moment, whatever it contains, is the only moment you actually have. Notice that in this moment, you lack nothing that is essential to your being. You might have problems, you might have challenges, you might have pain, but you don't lack the capacity for peace. You don't lack the ability to be present. You don't lack the potential for contentment. These things are not dependent on your circumstances, they are your essence. They are what you are beneath all the stories you tell yourself about who you should be and what you should have. This is why searching for happiness in external things always fails. Because you're looking for yourself in places where you don't exist. You're looking for your essence in temporary forms. You're looking for your infinite nature in finite experiences. You are not your job. You are not your relationships. You are not your possessions. You are not your achievements. You are not your failures. You are not your past. You are not your future. You are the awareness in which all of these experiences arise and pass away. And this awareness, this consciousness that you are, is inherently peaceful, inherently content, inherently whole. It doesn't need anything added to it. It doesn't need anything taken away from it. It doesn't need to be improved or enhanced or completed. This is the happiness you've been searching for, not the temporary pleasure of getting what you want, not the fleeting satisfaction of achieving a goal, not the momentary relief of solving a problem, but the deep, abiding, unshakable peace of being exactly what you are in exactly this moment. You don't need to become enlightened to experience this. You don't need to meditate for years. You don't need to read more books or attend more seminars or find the perfect teacher. You need to stop. You need to be still. You need to recognize what has always been here, waiting for you to notice it. But let me be clear about what this means in practical terms. Because you might be thinking this sounds too abstract, too spiritual, too removed from your daily reality. You still have bills to pay. You still have relationships to navigate. You still have challenges to face. You still have goals to pursue. And that's exactly the point. This understanding doesn't remove you from life. It transforms how you engage with life. Instead of coming to each situation desperate and needy, you come complete and whole. Instead of seeking validation from others, you validate your own experience. Instead of trying to extract happiness from circumstances, you bring happiness to circumstances. Watch how this changes everything. When you go to work, you're not going to find fulfillment. You're bringing fulfillment. When you enter a relationship, you're not looking for someone to complete you. You're sharing your completeness. When you face a challenge, you're not hoping it will make you stronger. You already are strong and you're applying that strength. This is why some people can be content in simple circumstances while others are miserable despite having everything. This is why some people find joy in the smallest moments while others remain empty despite constant stimulation. This is why your grandmother, with her simple life, might have been happier than you with all your advantages and opportunities. She understood something you've forgotten. That happiness doesn't come from having the right life. It comes from having the right relationship with whatever life you have. She didn't need life to be perfect. She needed to be perfect with life as it was. And perfect doesn't mean without problems. Perfect means whole, complete, accepting, present. Perfect means you don't need anything to be different for you to be okay. You are okay regardless of what's happening around you. This terrifies people because it means you can't blame your unhappiness on anything or anyone anymore. You can't blame your parents, your partner, your boss, your circumstances, your health, your past, your future. Your emotional state is your responsibility. Your peace is your choice. Your happiness is your creation. But here's what's beautiful about this responsibility. It's also your power. If your happiness depends on external factors, then you're powerless to guarantee it. But if your happiness comes from your internal orientation, then you have complete control over it. No one can take it from you. No circumstances can destroy it. No loss can diminish it. You become untouchable, not because nothing affects you, but because nothing can touch the core of who you are. The waves of life may crash around you, but you remain the still, deep ocean beneath the surface. The storms may rage above you, but you are anchored in something unshakable. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is the most practical thing you can learn. Because once you stop looking for happiness outside yourself, you stop being manipulated by the world. You stop being controlled by other people's opinions. You stop being dependent on circumstances beyond your control. You become truly free. Free to love without attachment, free to give without expecting, free to receive without grasping, free to succeed without ego, free to fail without devastation, free to be yourself without apology. And from this freedom, you naturally begin to contribute something meaningful to the world. Not because you need to prove your worth, but because you can't help but express what you are. Not because you're trying to fix everything, but because you're sharing your wholeness with whatever needs healing. I think about my friend who lost everything in a business failure: house, savings, reputation. By every external measure, he should have been devastated. But when I saw him months later, there was something different about him, a lightness. When I asked him about it, he said, "I spent 20 years building a prison and calling it success. Losing everything freed me to remember who I am." That's the ultimate irony. Sometimes losing what you think you need for happiness is what finally reveals the happiness you already are. Sometimes having your external props removed is what finally forces you to stand on your own internal foundation. Your struggles aren't obstacles to your happiness. They're invitations to discover it. Every challenge is an opportunity to find out that your peace doesn't depend on everything going right. Every loss is a chance to learn that your joy doesn't come from what you have. Every disappointment is a teacher showing you that your contentment isn't conditional. I learned this from studying the ancient wisdom traditions. The Eastern teachings speak of effortless action. Ancient texts teach about acting without attachment to results. The great spiritual masters pointed to the peace that comes from accepting what island sacred scriptures speak of, the kingdom of heaven being within you. They were all pointing to the same truth. Happiness is an inside job, but you've been raised in a culture that profits from your unhappiness, that needs you to believe you're incomplete so you'll keep consuming. That requires your dissatisfaction to fuel its economy. That depends on your searching to justify its existence. So, you've been told that happiness comes from having more, being more, doing more, achieving more. But what if the opposite is true? What if happiness comes from needing less, wanting less, demanding less from life and appreciating more of what's already here? I remember sitting with a master teacher years ago. He asked me a simple question that shattered everything I thought I knew. He said, if happiness could be found in things, wouldn't the richest people be the happiest? I couldn't answer, because I knew they weren't. I've met billionaires who were miserable. I've met celebrities who felt empty despite constant adoration. I've met people with perfect lives who wanted to end them. That's when it hit me. The entire premise is flawed. You can't find an internal state through external means. You can't discover your essence by accumulating possessions. You can't uncover your peace by changing your circumstances. It's like trying to quench your thirst by collecting empty cups. But here's what's even more profound. The moment you stop searching outside, you realize you never needed to search at all. The happiness you've been seeking has been seeking you. The love you've been craving has been loving you. The peace you've been chasing has been patiently waiting for you to be still enough to notice it. And this is where most people get confused. They think this means becoming a hermit, giving up all ambition, sitting in a cave somewhere, meditating all day. That's not what this is about. This is about transformation, not withdrawal. This is about engaging with life from a completely different foundation. When you understand that your happiness doesn't come from external sources, you become dangerous. Dangerous to the systems that want to control you through your desires. Dangerous to the people who manipulate you through your fears. dangerous to the voices in your head that keep you small and searching. You become someone who can't be bought, can't be threatened, can't be diminished by loss or inflated by gain. You become someone who operates from an internal compass rather than external approval, someone who gives from abundance rather than taking from scarcity. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, it's a process. A gradual awakening to what you've always been but forgot. Like cleaning dust off a mirror, you're not adding anything new. You're simply removing what was covering your true reflection. This doesn't mean becoming passive. This doesn't mean giving up your goals. This doesn't mean settling for less than you're capable of. It means pursuing your dreams from a place of fullness rather than emptiness. It means working towards your goals because you enjoy the process, not because you need the results to be happy. You realize that every external thing you've been seeking has been pointing to an internal reality. The love you want to find is the love you are. The peace you want to experience is the peace you are. The joy you want to feel is the joy you are. The wisdom you want to gain is the wisdom you are. Your happiness has been with you all along. Like the person searching everywhere for their glasses while wearing them, you've been looking everywhere for something you already have. The searching itself has been hiding it from you. So what do you do now? How do you live from this understanding? How do you navigate a world that constantly tells you that happiness is somewhere else and something else and someone else? You practice presence. You practice acceptance. You practice recognizing that whatever is happening right now is perfect material for your peace. You practice finding the sacred in the ordinary. You practice being grateful not for what you have, but for the capacity to have experiences at all. You stop waiting for life to begin. You stop postponing your contentment. You stop making your happiness dependent on anything changing. You start living as if this moment matters because it's the only moment you'll ever have. This doesn't mean you become passive. This doesn't mean you stop growing or challenging yourself or working toward goals, but you do these things from a place of fullness rather than emptiness. You do them because you enjoy them, not because you need them to complete you. You begin to see that your life is not a problem to be solved, but a gift to be received. Not a test to be passed, but an experience to be embraced. Not a project to be completed, but a journey to be enjoyed. And from this perspective, everything changes. Your relationships become expressions of love rather than attempts to get love. Your work becomes creative expression rather than survival strategy. Your challenges become opportunities for growth rather than threats to your peace. But here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop needing to be happy, you become happy. The moment you stop demanding that life make you feel good, you start feeling good about life. The moment you stop insisting that others complete you, you discover your own completeness. This is the cosmic joke. What you've been desperately seeking through effort and struggle becomes available the moment you stop efforting and struggling. What you've been trying to force into existence through willpower emerges naturally when you surrender the will to control. It's like trying to catch your own shadow. The harder you chase it, the faster it runs away. But stand still and it appears right where you are. Your happiness is your shadow. Stop chasing it. Turn around. It's been following you all along. You don't need to search anymore. You don't need to wait anymore. You don't need to become anything other than what you are. You just need to stop believing that happiness is anywhere other than here, anytime other than now, anyone other than you. This is the end of seeking. This is the beginning of being. This is not a philosophy to think about, but a reality to live. Your happiness is not what you think at Island. It's not where you think at Island. It's not when you think at Island. Your happiness is you recognizing yourself in this moment exactly as you are. Stop searching. Start being. The happiness you've been looking for has been looking back at you all along. Because the truth is, you are not lacking anything. You never were, you never will be. The happiness you seek is the happiness you are. The peace you want is the peace you are. The love you crave is the love you are. Stop searching in the wrong places. Look within. Be still. Listen. Your happiness is calling your name. It's been calling your name your entire life. It's time to finally answer. Stop searching. Start being. You are already what you've been looking for. You always were.